All right, what's going on? Hello there. This is Courtney Rollins with the Life and Transitions Experts podcast. Here, some more content that hopefully is helpful to you. Let your light shine, folks. LITE, Life and Transitions Expert Podcast. I am here trying to share as much as I can about really the probate process in North Carolina specifically, as well as things that are related to the property and quite often the stuff connected to probate. I'm a real estate investor, real estate wholesaler, and one of the ways that I find off market deals and sometimes deals at a discount is by helping people who are going through probate. Now, not every single case that I work with has property, and not every single case that has property are suited for a wholesale deal, but I try to help as much as I can, and it always comes back. You heard me say it before, but I really believe in that Zig Ziglar school of thought. You help enough people get what they want, you will always get what you want. And it seems like that's how the universe is set up. So I'm trying to give as much as I can so that I can receive as well and even have more to give to expand that kingdom. All right. So today we're going to have, I get often asked questions from practitioners or folks who want to be practitioners in this space, and definitely from folks who are experiencing probate. And so I figured I'd go over some of the 10 common questions that I hear in probate in North Carolina and attempt to answer them the best of my ability. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not offering any of those legal or financial advice. That's my disclaimer right there. But I am sharing my experience. And hopefully, if you find it helpful, I would love for you to go to the YouTube channel, share with other folks, hit the subscribe button, hit the like, give me some topics that you would like to come up for me to cover, and I will do that to the best of my ability, which is what I'm doing right now. So let's go on. 10 common questions and answers for probate in North Cackalack. Go ahead and raise up. All right, the first one is what is probate and when is it necessary in North Carolina? So probate is the legal process of administering the estate of someone who's passed away. There has to be a legal way for someone to have their assets that they left behind and or their debt and taxes be paid off, distributed, and handled. And probate is usually the way that it happens unless they have been fortunate enough to do some things before they passed and have certain legal instruments in place that allow them to go around and not have to go through probate. I highly encourage you to take the time to look at your estate. We all have estates. And sadly enough, a lot of us don't know we all have estate plans. And it's whatever your state is. And if you don't have a last will and testament, which still has to go through probate because someone has to legally be executed, or if you don't have properties or things in a trust or things with designated beneficiaries or series of designated beneficiaries, then there's going to be a lot of challenges when you do eventually pass away, and you're really setting up your family or loved ones or the person who's going to be responsible for this for a lot of, again, responsibility that could be avoided with just some simple tasks and simple steps. So although I'm not an attorney or a financial advisor, I do have networks with great vetted professionals and can offer some uh, referrals, offer specific discounts to you, and definitely wait to the end. I'll share some of those spaces that you can go so that we can carry those on to you. So it's necessary if you pass away with a will or without a will, um, and you don't have certain legal instruments in place. All right. How do I start the probate process in North Carolina? You will go to the county that the deceased party is a resident of, and you'll either share the death certificate or the valid will. If there's not a will or a death certificate or will, then you'll share that this person's passed away, and they'll get the process started. Now, know that every single step along the way, there is a cost for filing. There's a cost for every time you walk into the office. There's a cost. Another reason why we need to avoid probate, it can be costly because that cost is set up based on the total amount of assets in a property or in an estate. So if someone owns a home, which is usually a very large amount of the estate, or they own life insurance that counts towards the estate, then you're going to be, or they're going to be filed. All the filings are going to be based on a percentage of that, and it's not. They don't take in account how much debt may come out. So it doesn't matter what the net amount is, it's based on the total amount. So how to start the probate process in North Carolina, you'll go to the estate office. of the county of the person that resided in and file there. And that's the main way you initiate it with the clerks. All right. Number two, or three, I should say. What are some of the responsibilities and duties of an executor or an administrator in North Carolina? Your responsibility is to carry out to the best of your ability the steps of the probate process. That's we'll go over steps very briefly, a little overview, but that's gathering all the inventory, all the assets, making sure you have a correct valuation of them, reaching out in a specific way to creditors to give them an opportunity to share any claims that they have, notifying beneficiaries as well, distributing and accounting for the taxes and the debt, and distributing any leftover benefits and closing the estate. Every year the estate's open, you're responsible for filing as well, filing taxes on behalf of the estate are some of the major responsibilities and duties of an executor or administrator. Number four, how long does the process typically take? Well, it's going to normally take at least 4 months. And I say at least 4 months because that's the amount of time that's required for creditors to have the opportunity to make claims. Once you send off your of notice of two creditors, it has to run for 4 weeks consecutive, and then after that they have 3 months. So it usually could take anywhere from really 6 months to a year is a typical time. Now that depends on if there's disputes, litigation, all that good stuff can extend the timeline if you're having a hard time finding all the assets. Because anytime you find new money that's in that estate to be able to transfer it to the proper place, it has to go through probate. So sometimes probate is closed, but it has to be reopened because new money or other assets come into the estate. What assets are subject to probate? There are some assets that are non-probate assets. And one thing, North Carolina, a house is generally not a probate asset. Sometimes you still have to probate, go through probate so that um, beneficiaries can be designated and things of that nature. But main things that are owned by the deceased party, like bank accounts, vehicles, personal belongings, are generally subject to probate. However, there are some that have rights of survivorship or designated beneficiaries, such as life insurance and retirement funds, that may bypass the probate process. Again, if you have trust set up and you make sure the trust owns the properties or assets, then that's another way that you can avoid the probate process or have your loved ones avoid the probate process. And that's the question. Are there any assets that can bypass the probate um, process? And yeah, that's what we just spoke to very briefly right there. But yeah, there are some things like bank accounts that are payable on death if you're set up there, or you have rights of survivorship, things that are owned jointly, things that are held in the living trust, as we spoke to, life insurance policies and retirements when they have beneficiaries designated can avoid the probate process. Why it's so important to make sure you have all those tidied up and have several people in line there because things do happen. You may need to check up on it. If someone else passed away at the time, then it would fall right back into the probate process and be subject to the laws of the land. Some of the key steps in probate. Number seven. What are some of the key steps? That's opening the probate, taking the inventory, notifying creditors, settling the debts and taxes, distributing any inheritance, having the final accounting being approved, and then closing out the estate is are some of the main steps there. Uh, Question number eight. How are debts and taxes handled during probate process in North Carolina? So the executor and administrator must identify. Now, when I say executor, that means there's a will. If there's no will involved, then it's called an administrator because you're administrating the estate. You're not executing the last will and testaments of the deceased party. But regardless, they play the same role. They must identify and notify creditors of the deceased uh, party's passing, and they're responsible for validating, even negotiating, which most people don't tell you, debts and taxes. Definitely negotiate because some folks will reduce or even write it off, and that is a good thing for the estate for more um, assets to pass along to beneficiaries. If the state lacks certain funds, then there's a priority and procedure that has to take place to address all the outstanding debts. So once you are in this situation, don't go start paying off folks immediately because there is a priority process, especially if there's not enough money in the estate. And again, negotiate. Are there specific laws or regulations in North Carolina that executors and administrators should be aware of? Yes, as an executor or administrator, you don't have to have an attorney, but I highly recommend that you do. And I highly recommend that you understand the state probate codes, their outline regarding administration, distribution, and any other applicable tax laws. So that's why it's so important to have an attorney and to be aware of those specific laws. All right. And number 10, can an executor or an administrator be held liable for mistakes during the probate process? Yes, absolutely. You can. There could be acts of negligence. There could be breach of your fiduciary responsibilities. So it's very important that you have some type of legal advice so that you maintain the accurate records and act on the best interest of the estate and the beneficiaries. All right, so those are 10 very common questions that I receive. Again, if you need support doing a will or a trust so that you can, a trust so that you can avoid the probate process, a will so that your wishes are intact, and maybe you're on a budget, or perhaps you want access to a lot of attorneys without having to spend a ton of money. Trust and Will is an awesome site, an awesome resource, and I have a special discount with them. Reach out to me, and I can reach out to you and share that discount with you. If you're a practitioner and you're thinking about real estate and you have a serving heart and you want to help folks, love you hit that QR scan right there, or reach out to me at Courtney at the State Pro Service, do RE Ideals, State Pro, all service. They all roads lead to Rome or to Courtney. I'm not Rome. It leads me, and I can hopefully help you, and we can help each other be a part of each other's journey. This is a team sport, this thing called life, and certainly when it comes to doing real estate. All right. So there it is right there. Again, hit the like and subscribe and all that good stuff so that we can keep on doing the good stuff that we're trying to do over here. And remember, life and transition experts, let your light shine. Cheers.